You said a prayer once. Maybe you raised your hand. Maybe you walked to the front of a room while everyone sang the same 3 lines over and over, and someone put a hand on your shoulder and told you, "That's it, you're saved." And you believed them. You checked the box, closed it, and moved on with your life, assuming the word saved meant something had happened once and was now simply finished. A date, a memory, a fact you could file away and never have to think about again. But what if what actually happened that day and what the word itself was always describing are not the same size? Think about how you actually talk about being saved. I got saved when I was 12. Past tense, done. A memory you can point to, the way you'd point to a birthday or a graduation, something that happened and now simply is. You tell the story the same way every time, almost like a testimonial you've memorized more than one you actually feel. And when doubt creeps in, when a season comes where you don't feel close to God at all, where prayer feels like talking into an empty room, you reach back for that memory like a receipt. I know I'm saved because I remember the day. As if the whole thing lives back there, in the past, sealed, and nothing that happens to you now could possibly touch it. But look at how the New Testament itself actually talks about this. Paul tells one church plainly, "By grace you have been saved," past tense, something God has already done for you. But he tells another church that the message of the cross is the power of God to us who are being saved, present tense, God's saving work still active. And in a third place, he talks about being saved from wrath that's still coming, future tense, the fullness of it still lying ahead. Not one tense, 3, sitting right there in Scripture describing the same ongoing rescue from 3 different angles at once. Which means the distant seasons, the doubting seasons, the ones where you don't feel saved at all, they were never evidence that it stopped being true. They were evidence of something else entirely. Here's the second thing hiding inside that word. You've probably thought of salvation like an exit, a fire escape. You were headed somewhere bad and you got pulled out of the building before it collapsed, saved from something. And once you're out on the sidewalk, safe, watching the smoke rise behind you, the story feels basically over. But imagine getting pulled out of a burning building and never once asking where the ambulance is actually taking you. You'd be relieved, you'd tell everyone how close it was, but you still wouldn't know where you belonged now, or who was waiting for you, or what your life was supposed to look like on the other side of it. Being rescued was never only about what you got pulled away from. It was about where you got brought to. Scripture doesn't just describe you as pulled out of danger, it describes you as adopted, given a new name, a permanent seat at a table you didn't build, in a family you didn't earn your way into. If your whole understanding of being saved has been saved from hell and nothing else, you've been given only part of the picture, the part that happens in the ambulance before you've even arrived anywhere. Stay with me, because the last part is the one most people never get told at all. Because being saved was never only about being saved from a punishment coming later. It was also the beginning of something changing in who you actually are. Think about who you were quietly turning into before any of this. The resentment that was hardening a little more every year. The numbness that was setting in after enough disappointments. The version of you that handled pain by shutting people out or burning them down, or just going quiet and staying that way. That trajectory was already running long before you ever raised your hand. And salvation was never just insurance against a courtroom you won't stand in for years. It sets something else in motion too, an ongoing transformation starting now, today, this exact ordinary Tuesday you're sitting in. So, if you're still fighting the same bitterness, still numb in the same places, still catching yourself burning people down the same way you always have, that doesn't mean it never took. Scripture never promised the struggle would disappear the moment you said yes. It means the work isn't finished. The real question was never whether you'd still struggle. It's whether you're still willing to let Him keep changing you, one ordinary decision at a time, in how you talk to your spouse when you're tired, in what you do with your phone at midnight, in whether you can finally forgive the person who still owes you an apology they'll never give. That part of the rescue was always going to take the longest. It was never meant to be instant. So here's what all three actually mean together. You were saved. You are being saved. You will be saved. Not three different salvations, three dimensions of the same rescue: what God has already done, what He is still doing, and what He will finally complete. Which means the day at the front of the room, the raised hand, the prayer, that wasn't the whole event. It was the doorway. And whether you've noticed or not, you've been walking through it ever since. So ask yourself honestly, is there a version of you still forming right now in the small, unnoticed moments that you've stopped letting Him reach? The rescue was never meant to end at the moment you first said yes. God had begun something He intended to carry forward. Lord, show me where I've been treating what You started as already finished. Show me what You're still carrying me out of, even now, even in the parts of my life I've stopped paying attention to. Keep rescuing me from who I was becoming. I don't just want to remember the day You saved me. I want to still be being saved, today and tomorrow and every ordinary day after that, in how I love the people closest to me, in what I do with my attention, in who I'm slowly turning into. You weren't just saved from something. You were saved into someone's family, and the rescue isn't over yet. Where have you been living like the story already ended? You don't have to say it out loud. Just sit with it. And send this to someone who's been carrying that day at the altar like a memory instead of a beginning. Subscribe to Guard Your Spirit. Next time, we're opening a verse almost every Christian knows by heart and reading the part most people skip.